Thanks for clicking on this video. My name is Brady Prenzlow and I'm the owner of Prenzlow Photography. And I put this video together to go through some of the setups that we used for an Osseo Softball digital media hype session. And I'm guessing if you clicked on this link, you're probably in one of two camps. You're interested in photographing a session like this, or you're interested in us coming out and capturing your team like this. So in this video, we're going to just talk about the process, the three setups we used, as well as some of the dynamics between the posing and the players, and then just some things we learned along the way. So stick around. Most of what we do is truly volume photography, meaning that we get about a minute per player to work with them and make them look as professional and proud as possible. But a minute isn't very long. So a session like this is a lot of fun because we spent from 9 to about 11 working with these 10 softball players, and we're really able to build some chemistry as well as kind of loosen them up as we went through this process. So let's just walk through kind of how this all went down. The coach at Osseo reached out to me a couple months ago and said he was looking for a bonding opportunity as well as a whole bunch of social media prints and digital images and videos that they could use throughout the season. So we made it happen and we went out to Osseo last Saturday. So getting into the gym, and as you can see, basic gym, a lot of white walls here. So we made sure to bring 3 black Westcott backdrops so that we didn't have to crop too much out or work too much in post. We brought 2 big pieces of grass, big piece that individuals could sit on, as well as this one that kind of butted up against the backdrops. And then a bunch of lights. The key with this sort of setup is a lot of rim lights because you won't be able to see this fog at all unless there's some light shining through it. So we have 2 8300s and barn doors and then 2 8100s here with orange gels. And let me tell you, it was a lot of fun to use orange as I typically work with a team that is primarily blue. So we started off pretty basic. I figured that players generally aren't very comfortable right out of the chute, especially at 9 in the morning on a Saturday. So brought in this bucket, brought in their logo and said, all right, sit there, look tough, look happy. As you can see, I've got a little rechargeable fan to kick some of this smoke out. And then have 2 little portable fog machines back here. And if I learned anything, these work awesome. These Ulgazi portable fog machines kick out a lot of smoke. And I was a little apprehensive first because this was the first time we were using those. But in retrospect, I wish I would have used these a little bit more because the big fog machine can fill a whole gym pretty quickly. Going back to the lights, we have 1 fill 8300 and a 43-inch umbrella. And then backing way up, I have an 80-1200 on a boom with a 44-inch Octa box and a grid. I was shooting, as you can see, I have a Canon 70-200. So I was shooting with a 70-200 as well as a 24-70, depending on what we're shooting, individuals, groups. And here I'm shooting individuals, so I've got the longer lens on, but I kept the same settings the entire shoot that you can see up here. So again, another player on a box. We'll see if I can slow this down to just showcase exactly what I'm talking about with the lights. All right, as you can see, I have freeze framed on the lights. I have an 8600 Pro in a strip box rimming out the player nicely. 2 barn door 8300s up top as hair lights. And then all the color is coming from 2 little 8100 lights with orange gels to bring all of this color into the smoke. My fill light is firing, and you really can't see, but yes, my key light here is firing as well. And we pretty much kept this same basic setup throughout the entire morning shoot. So like I said, this was our first setup. Moving to our second setup, pretty similar. I wouldn't even say that this is a second setup. We basically just lost the bucket and then let players pose in smaller groups and individually. And here I really started leaning on the players to give me ideas. I've shot a lot of softball, but these players have been playing softball a lot longer than I've been photographing softball. So they know what they like. They know what they've seen. So some buddy photos in here, and you can see, yes, I'm back to using my main fog machine, which is kicking out some nice fog and smoke, but it definitely tends to linger. And you can see I brought out an additional umbrella because I wasn't quite sure where players would be. Like this throwing motion here, I had the catcher. She didn't have her catcher gear, but as if she was throwing a ball across to third. I didn't know quite where she would end up, so I have this big 7-foot umbrella in that same AD 300 to kind of rim her out nicely. A couple of things. First, I think this is my favorite photo of the entire session, and this was something that the player completely came up with on their own. Thought it was fantastic, but will I use this pose again in the future? I definitely will. You can see that I moved the one of the AD 300s right behind the player, still with an orange gel. And then I'm using this Ulgazi portable fog machine as basically a replacement for canned fog, which it works fantastic. I wish I would have done this a little bit more because we would have saved some of the residual fog that was hanging in the gym by the end of this session. And then again, to close out this first look, we brought the coaches out. Don't forget about the coaches. And I love it that, so here's the head coach that reached out to me, having fun, popped a hip, and I'm pretty sure that this has already been used for social media purposes. So very, very fun. Now, moving to our second setup where we broke out the ProLightMods, and definitely labor intensive, but a lot of fun. You can see the players are absolutely loving this. Buddy shots. Now I'm shooting pretty wide. I'm shooting at anywhere from 30 to 40 millimeters with group photos. And I gave myself an hour to set up, but I would have given myself just a little bit more time. As you can see, these have to be put in there pretty perfectly. And this 2x3 mod here at the top is a little bit wrinkly. I had to correct some of that in Photoshop, but I think people get a little too bent out of shape because in reality, if you're squinting your eyes, none of these are perfectly round anyway. But pretty much the same setup. I did ditch the gels for when I was shooting these ProLightMods, just to give it a little bit cleaner, less orange look. And like I said, here we have buddy shots, having fun, groups of individuals. And then as the second part of this second setup, we actually lowered the ProLightMods a bit so that we could have layers. Oh yeah, you see, don't make an old man have to showcase what I want to do. Here I am on the ground. Yep, yeah, do something just like this. Yes, just like this. You can look that cool. But they had their own ideas and did a lot of buddy photos on the ground. Turned out really cute. And again, just so I'm shooting low, here I am basically on the ground shooting this group. You can still see the ProLightMods, and I'm not hitting the top of the ceiling. So final setup, we brought in some RGB tubes. They're Godox RGB tubes, a million different colors. I've used them for a couple of proms as well as some sports. They work pretty good. See my son bringing them out here. They do take a little time to set up. And I think one of the other things I learned is when I'm using constant lights, whether it's RGB tubes or anything else, I would have had the coach bring the lights down in the gym. You can see my settings here. I'm shooting ISO 500. If he had brought the lights down, I could have dropped the ISO down and not had to run these at full power. But we made it work, and they still look pretty good. So again, we had these players sort of running through these lights. And then for the very last setup, we kept these RGB tubes, but then ran some video, as you can see here, that allowed players to have fun walking through. They all got little clips as well as produced reels. So thank you, Osseo Softball. We had a lot of fun coming out last week to shoot for you. You ended up getting a ton of different looks. I enjoyed working with your team. Thank you again for bringing the energy. Hopefully you learned something in this video, and if you have any interest in having us come out for a digital media hype session, the link is on our website. Thanks again, and I'll see you in another video.